All right, cool. We're here on the weekly stream. Got a couple updates. Oh, great. We got David. Fantastic.
I'm here.
Hey, David. What's up, man?
Not too much. Just trying to adjust the light.
No worries. I'm so happy you're here. Cool. All right. So I think Ling will jump on. As I mentioned in the message here, this is only streaming to our YouTube live. So normally it goes out to LinkedIn and to Twitter. And thought that was good for this call because we're doing some sort of catch up and housekeeping. And hopefully we can resume our regular stream next week. But I have a couple of outreach things that I thought I would cover first. One is, let me share my screen here. All right. So one is this guy here. Okay. So we have a list within our mailing list within our newsletter of people that are tagged that said they were interested in Epiphyte. And then I've added a lot of other people onto that as well. So we have about 120 people on that list. So I wanted to send out a general, Epiphyte, sort of join watch type of email, but I wanted to share it with you guys first. And it basically just what it would look like is an email. Actually, I can just show you this here. Is it sort of, welcome to the Epiphyte mission. This shows just a little video that you did, a little overview of fundamentals of what the project is trying to do. And then if people really want to join, it says here, if you're interested in, maybe starting a team or even just as an individual, being more involved, there's a little sign up form. This also shows the the calendar that people can go to, which has the upcoming things that are, streams that are happening. And then, join the Discord and then relevant things, links. So I probably will send that out today or maybe early tomorrow morning. One thing I'm considering adding to it, there's a lot of people that are at universities that are on that list, is to request if people wanted to print out this little flyer that, basically just has a picture. I did a little AI embellishment of the Epiphyte. You can see makes it look a little aspirational here. But it has a little QR code that links people to the deck. And it's very, very simple. So I might say, hey, if you're on an engineering department or chemistry and you're part of a club or whatever, if you want to print that out and post it somewhere, you can do that. So I'll probably add that as well. So there's that.
So I can't quite see the details of that, Chris. If you also include a link so that people could include the link on the social media to reference people back to the site would be, I guess I just copy it from the page you have there, but it's handy for like on Discord and Mastodon and things like that.
Yeah. So you mean just like if there's a link like to
wherever that goes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this goes to the regular Epiphyte little digital deck that I made that describes the project, links to the repo and stuff, and has a hashtag in there. We're not particularly active on social media now, but it also has a join the Discord, link as well. So
yeah, but if I want to tell people at the IEEE or whatever, or Discord has a bunch of channels where you could drop that link in and say, hey, check this out. That barcode might not be as easy to pass through.
Okay.
Exactly. Because then you have to use your cell phone and hold it up to the screen and
then mail it to yourself.
That's right. If you want to do it on your computer, that doesn't help.
Yeah, that thing there is specifically for people to physically print it out and put in a lab if you're walking by some post-it board or something that they have for events and stuff like that. So,
okay.
Hey, Leroy, good to have you join us. Building materials we have a member watching the stream here. Building materials from CO2 and minerals from the ocean would be great for low-cost housing. That is a very cool idea. Come into our Discord and talk to us about it. I'll go ahead and add the Canva, the little document we have, which gives you, Leroy, if you're not already in our, if you're not already, oh, you are. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong. Oh, that's the recording app. That's a way you can get into our Discord. You'll see a link to that, but always love very cool ideas. So please do come in. Oh, we got a couple other people here waiting in there. There's Ling and we got Tim as well. All right, got a full house. Very cool. Cool, Ling. Ling and Tim. I'm not sure if you guys were on there, but I just was showing a newsletter that I'm going to send out to the 120 or so people who have expressed an interest in Epiphyte through the sign-up process. That just is sort of a way to get more people to watch and potentially come in. So I'm going to send that out later today or maybe early tomorrow morning. And then I did apply a little AI to the image of our Epiphyte just to make it look a little sleeker for some of our materials. So anyway, cool. How are things going, David? We haven't talked in a little bit.
Yeah, fine. I'm back back home for as far as I can predict for now.
Okay, cool. I'm still trying to get that hook up. Oh, great. Here's Christina. So I'm still trying to get that connection from Peter. I'm trying my best, and I've sent him a couple emails. And sometimes he gets very busy, but I want to get our connection to that person ASAP, or more like yesterday. So that's obviously a critical next step for us. So I will, as politely as possible, nudge him again towards the middle of the week if I don't hear from him. But obviously a lot sort of waits on that. But I did see some messages from you, David, on the Discord, and this is sort of a Ling Christina thing as well about most current documentation. I think there was some additional things we were going to add to the repo. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Hello. Yes, the next thing that we need is the summary of how all the sensors are connected in whatever form that might exist. And if we can get that into the repository, then I think we're ready to do the first release onto Zenodo. It's all encoded in the GitHub issues.
I'm working on that practically as we speak.
Sounds
Awesome.
great.
Cool. Thanks. And Christina, I have this stupid thing that I'm locked out of Epiphyte, or rather out of GitHub right now with my current account, and it only sends code to a phone that I can't use here in Costa Rica. So I think my next option might be to create another account. And I think you're an admin on that, Christina. I don't know if you can add me as a contributor. I wanted to kind of work on the issues milestone stuff a little bit. But I've just been trying to my frustration to get back into the GitHub and haven't been able to do it. So
Yes, I can add you as a contributor. And if you let me know if you end up creating another account or something like that, I think I have full access to all of it. So we should be able to add Chris 2 if Chris 1 cannot be accessed.
Okay, great. So I will let you know when Chris 2 has been created. Because Chris 1 can't be accessed at the moment. Cool. Well, there was two other things just on my side, but we can do that after. I think it might be the two things I did want to show is this sort of chat GPT that I created for Epiphyte and loaded kind of most of the articles that we have about sorbent, including a Google Scholar search that I did for our sorbent and got a bunch of articles and uploaded it. I also just uploaded the code, David, from the software. You can just put kind of anything in there ultimately. And what would be cool, though, is it might be something that we could interact with and ask questions about and get answers for in a sort of a streamlined way. So I figured I would get that started. You guys want me to give you a little demo of that first? Did we want to talk more about from where we left off? All right, cool. So let me do this. All right, so this is, let me know if you can see it. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what this is you can see here, I uploaded, it says 26 documents. So it's, again, mostly academic literature. And then the sandbox is where you can actually ask questions, right? So let me see here. What are the benefits of Lua tit sorbent for direct air capture? Just to give a very basic one that I think should be able to give a coherent answer. So this is probably based, I'll show you the sources that it draws from. So gives a pretty good answer, and then you can look at what the sources were, which I didn't kind of name in a way that's obvious, but you can click on it and it can say a little bit more about what was said. So this is just the very beginning. It's only 26 articles, but I do think it would be interesting, even documents that we produce, putting in there that allow new people who are trying to get up to speed on Epiphyte to ask questions and get pretty good responses. So just wanted to share that with you again. It's very early right now, but if you guys have any questions or thoughts on how that could be used in an interesting way, or questions on how it works, happy to answer. Or if you want me to ask it a question, even right now, based on what we have in there, happy to do that.
Hey, Chris,
Is it only? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, David. I come across the sorbent articles and CO2 capture articles frequently, and I save them when I remember to my Zotero library. I'd be happy to upload any links to references or papers if you tell me how.
Yeah,
If that helps with building out this library.
Yeah, I mean, to save you a step, if you wanted to share a folder with me, or I could give you access to the back end of this, but if you have them in a folder somewhere, it's incredibly easy for data. You just add a file and upload it, and that's it. So you can do it as a batch. So if you have it as a folder, I'll just download it and I can, upload it. If it's relevant to, it should be about direct air capture, sorbent, things like that.
Right.
But
yeah. I use Zotero, which is a citation manager, and it has its own little database, and it I believe it does a screen capture and downloads the article in a PDF format. Most of them are open source, but I also have memberships in American Chemical Society, American Physical Society. So I'd be able to share the links with you, but I don't think I can share the actual document with you.
Yeah, you can share that to me. I have through my wife who's at UT. I'm able to download any kind of article from an academic journal, stuff like that.
Okay. So let me see if I can export a list from Zotero and send it to you, see if that is useful at all.
Okay.
And if it's useful and you tell me how to import it into this library, I'd be happy to.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks.
All right. That's cool. That's really neat.
Cool. And I just added this question of, what are the disadvantages of LoadTit? It gave, a couple of answers. But David, you were about to say something?
Oh, I was just wondering what is going to be the realm of knowledge that this covers? Just sorbents or anything to do with DAC or something in between?
I think it would be interesting. Well, you guys tell me, but I think one thing that would be interesting is there's recurring questions that we often ask about that are relevant specifically to what we're trying to do to solve the problems that we're trying to solve. And occasionally, whether it doesn't need to be an academic article, but there might be other materials that we think there might be an answer to, and this kind of needle haystacks a little bit. So we can, let's say there is something about, applying vacuum or, like whatever, you guys would know better than me. But if we find documents, it's a real, it's unlikely that any of us are going to really take the full time to read the whole thing, But what's cool is that it relates it to other things in here, right? So if we upload that document, you can ask questions that might ping different areas of the literature that are relevant to the problem that we want to solve. So I say we should try to think about not getting too far afield about like, what are the economics of DAC and things like that. Just try to put resources in here that we think might hold the answers or give us some direction on things that we're trying to solve for. And then I do think it would be cool if we put whatever documents we ultimately produce about Epiphyte in here. It's also useful for new people to maybe ask questions about it, That's kind of my thinking, but we can see as we go.
Chris, along those lines, are we thinking of making the sandbox part public, or is this just for our use?
Well, right now it's just for our use, but we can totally make it public. You know, this whole idea came from, you know, to give you guys a little perspective. This is the mother one. This is this one that we have 500 articles uploaded to, which is a general CDR one that allows people to ask any kind of question, fact check a claim about it. And this already works really awesome. And so once I started doing this, I was like, wow, you know, this is going to be on the OpenAir website as a chatbot. But we can certainly make this public, or for right now, we can keep it internal. But both are options. Do let me know if anybody has a basic question that they want to ask about sorbent, just to see, or otherwise we can move on to the next subject. All right, cool. All right. All right, cool. And then the last thing that me and Jochen had I don't know if we lost Jochen. Oh, there he is. Great. Rearrange. We did have a call last week with Susana Garcia Lopez at USorb, and it was mostly about this thing that Alex is working on, Alex Ose, who couldn't join today. But he's made this thing he's been calling Epiphyte Junior, which is this miniature, very, very tiny little DAC object that would be more for testing sorbents. And so USorb wants to have that piece of hardware that would allow people who are synthesizing very small amounts of sorbent to make a test first before they upload their recipe to their platform to get feedback on how well it would work under different conditions. And I don't know if any of you guys saw that before, but he has a little, it's pretty awesome. Ling, did you see that yet, or Jay? I can quickly just show you an image of it right now. And when we shared it with Susanna, she had very bad Wi-Fi, so she could hear us, but she couldn't talk. So we were sort of showing it to her, saying, is this along the lines of what you were thinking? And she was like, yes. And so now what we're getting from her they have a little device they call a monolith that they put small amounts of sorbent into that they would want to insert into such a device. So we want to see the specs on that. And then with Alex, see, well, is there a way that we could tailor the internal part of his device for that? But I'll show you real quick what his looks like. I'll play it a little bit.
He's really got a knack for building stuff.
Oh, he certainly does. What a guy, too. He's just so hilariously prolific by himself in his apartment in Southern Oregon. But do you remember, Jochen, you remember, you know, I think I have a good handle on it too, but even just looking at this, would you be able to kind of describe the main parts based on what he described, or?
Yeah, well, at the moment, it's basically these two shutters, and it holds a vacuum with this little pump on the side. And he's looking to 3D print or another way shape something that can keep sorbents in there. And also he wants to add a fan. And he's currently measuring with, I think also with an SCD30. And he might want to add another one so that he can measure both sides of the sorbent.
Yeah. So
I couldn't read the display.
What's that?
I couldn't read the display. Is he showing the level of vacuum?
It says, it looks like the temperature.
Oh, there it is. It's clearer now. Oh, okay.
Yeah, temperature and pressure.
Temperature and pressure.
26 hectopascals. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do now is just to get, again, more information from Susanna. But you guys could see how this could be an interesting little thing that sits, you know, next to the, you know, Epiphyte, particularly for teams that might be interested, like at UT, of synthesizing sorbents, testing, seeing how it work, and then, you know, maybe something like that could be used, you know, within an Epiphyte, but it could be this little sort of sidecar potentially that could be used for sorbent testing. So, but it's just so cool that he came up with it, and so eager to see how this sort of tracks in parallel to what we're trying to do. So.
I was actually thinking this could, if you scaled it up, it could be used in place of the Epiphyte? Because doesn't it do everything the Epiphyte does?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it did what we could learn from that. And then last week, David, we talked, one of the carbon removal challenge teams from what is it? Begins with a W in Ontario. I can't remember. Waterloo. They did a DAC. It's moisture swing, but it has a fluidized bed. They have a fan and it's vertical, and it's constantly popping the sorbent up like a sort of a popcorn or whatever. And one of the members of that team wanted to join today. It's one of the reasons why I'm recording. It's called that they would like to give their sort of thoughts on what they did or whatever. So we talked a little bit about last week about taking Epiphyte and making it vertical. Maybe a couple of ideas sort of came up as well. But yeah, I think we should consider what Alex has done and see if something like that could be enlarged or whatever. But anyway, we'll see. Did you guys like Ling and Jochen and Jay and Seth? I didn't know if you had any. We talked about a lot of stuff last week about next sort of steps in David's absence, and I didn't know if you wanted to kind of raise some of those issues right now just to get David's feedback or thoughts.
No.
The only thing I did was I did a quick look for vortex equipment, and it turns out that in the like car painting, industrial painting, they use powders, and they have these devices where you can put powders in these pressurized cups that'll cause a vortex to mix your powder before you spray it onto a surface. And I was thinking that maybe a vortex generator for sorbent might be an interesting approach. I got distracted by something else. I want to go back and take a look at it some more.
If you have a video, can you share it?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
on Discord?
I'll put together something and send it.
Okay. The other ideas are documented both on Discord and GitHub. I don't think you need an account to look at the GitHub, but
I think I can actually look at it still. But if you want to share.
Yeah, I don't think you need an account to look at the GitHub. Let me put it into the comments.
Yeah, I have it here actually.
So here's the list of issues, and the ones that I commented on, you can see which ones have comments.
Okay.
So issue 15 and issue 11 have comments. The other ones have comments, but they're docs. They're doc type.
For some reason, I can't copy that.
Share your screen?
Yeah. Do you want to share your screen, Link?
Yeah, sure. One sec.
I might do it.
Man, sorry. One sec. This is complicated.
I could probably share mine, Ling. Oh, there you go. Great. Okay. Add to stage. There you go.
So if you go to OpenAir Epiphyte, it should look like this. So you would go to the issues tab. Then you can see all the issues. Christina made almost all of these. Thank you, Christina. And I have made comments here in issues 15 and 11. So for issue 15, we'll open each of them. For issue 11, this is on improving thermal characteristics of sorbent panel. And I had drawn picture. I see this background on Chris's StreamYard thing. That is this picture. I drew this by hand using my iPad. And I described it here. And I think it's a lot of information to describe it now, unless we want to dedicate like 30 minutes to it. Here is the other idea that I have, and this has to do with segregating the airstream and sending it through the sorbent panel, so that not all of it goes through the path of least resistance. So I described it, and then I also talked about potential technical difficulties if we were to try this one. The other one I just talked about. I don't know. Sorry, wall of text over there.
That's great.
So
though, that you- there.
yeah, so I put the link to the issues page in the comments. Hopefully you'll be able to access it.
For some reason, I can't click on that link when you put it in there, but I can.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's a
I
weird.
can't click on. I think you put an Epiphyte Canva link in there too. I cannot click on it.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'll try to figure that out and see if there's some. That seems like a dumb thing to not be able to click on a link that gets posted. So, but that's awesome. What are the other issues you have there? That's quite a few of them.
Christina's translation of whatever we talk about into issues so that we can address it. So
Yes, this is the list of things from the Canva page.
Yep, great.
All I did was copy in your text from those so that we have a way to sort them into the GitHub. Issues are associated with milestones, and if you look at the way that the issues here are set up, there's a number that are like the doc ones that Ling pointed out. Something doesn't need to be big to be an issue. You're probably better off with small issues. Like one thing that actually would be good to chat about. Yeah, we can talk about the badges. So Ling is currently working on this. This is actually a really good example. I
got assigned this. I'm
Yes.
one of the assignees.
Yeah, so it's an issue, and basically the issue is that part of the documentation practice, and I need to, it's one of those everything needs to happen first things. I need to finish the documentation repository so that we have a standard to go by. But part of that standard will be to include badges, which are those little markdown things that show kind of, a set of basic information like the Zenodo DOI and things like that ahead of time. So it'll be very easy to identify all that information, and also something to maybe show whether a project is currently in progress, for example, stuff like that. So if an interested person comes along and wants to start working on a project that's themselves, for instance, Cyan right now is not under active development, but there was some interest by somebody who showed up on the Discord and on the GitHub in taking that and turning it into an education project. So the issue page gives people a way to ask questions about that, and then they can also take the repo and they can make their own fork of it. If you look at the closed issues, I had a conversation with somebody about that, but it's not that important. So so the turning to the Epiphyte issues, I basically just went off of Chris's Canva page for them. There was one thing that might be good to discuss here, which is, for instance, the code of conduct. This is something that GitHub recommends for open source projects, that you include one. David wondered if we needed that. So I don't know if that's something that we want to have a discussion about. I don't think, as I said in my comment, I don't think this is as important as just getting the actual documentation in. I'm happy to just leave this on the table till after. There are a couple standard codes of conduct that we can put in, and Matt does have one. But Chris, I would probably want to get your and Matt's thoughts about that. So this is like an example of something where we can have a discussion on the GitHub about it. There's also other documentation things that are associated with that first Zenodo milestone, like creating this for me to do. I'll make a JSON file that covers, who the authors are and things like that. Put everybody's ORCID's IDs in so that will automatically show up in the Zenodo metadata. So it's just that sort of thing. So you'll notice they're tagged as like doc or ENGR. Most of these ENH means enhancement. So we're using the convention that is set for the NumPy Python library, or NumPy, which has like 5 or 6 standard tags, most of which are geared towards software, which is why I've added this ENGR tag. Well, it's more than 5 or 6, but there's some that get used more often than others. So bug, for instance, would be one. Doc is one. Enhancement, ENH is one. And then there's ones for like, okay, I've made a serious change to the way that this works, things like that. So I'll include all of that when I finish putting together the sort of overall OpenAir documentation standard. And I'm going to either make that repo set up or create another repo that will be kind of a starter repo. So when you're putting together your documentation of your hardware project, you should be able to just like fork this standard repo and then fill in what your project does, what the parts are. Just try to make sure that everybody's able to check all of those boxes of like, here's the bill of materials, here's this, here's that. Yeah, Ling, thanks for doing such a great job on putting in the write-ups and the comments on these recent issues, because I think that's really helpful. The way that you have like a standard format of, here's what we want to do, here's what it would help with, here's why it would help, etc.
Well, I only had it for one of them. But everyone, please go and read through my ideas and talk about, I don't know, give your feedback. So I'm not assigned to these because I'm not close to the device. I can't really work on them. And I also don't have bandwidth, but it would be great, if anyone thinks that they can execute this idea, or our future person who owns this instrument would work on it. This is probably more worth executing, because this one we know that it will probably make a difference. This other one's more like out there, more researchy or blue sky.
Yeah. What I'll put to Ling is I just was looking at the and Christina, maybe I'll send it to one of you because until I can figure out how to get back on, which I think I can do that relatively quickly as we discussed. But we've already picked a new sorbent. So like in the sorbent issue there, I can add that, this is the one that we're going with the link to the data sheet.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Same with the sensor upgrades. We now have new sensors already at the lab. So I'll add the list to that. So people, when they're looking at it, a lot of people are like, oh, Zeolite sucks. So they could look at the issue and be like, oh, okay, they're going in that direction. So
let me add one other thing to your radar there. Ling, would you mind clicking the wiki page up top where it says pull request actions project wiki? You can create pages in this. So you could have a page about sorbents. You could have a page about general motivations. You could have a page describing like, the development process and how things have gone with Epiphyte, all sorts of stuff. But this is a good place to.
I would say sorbent spec sheets maybe should go in wiki rather than issues,
or at least links to them. You can also have because if sorbent is going to be a more general thing, I don't think it's a bad idea to mention it under issues but definitely consider using the wiki if you want to. If there's something that you have that's like related to a specific problem, and if there's a specific problem that's not enumerated in the issues, then by all means create a new issue. And if it's like, okay, this is really similar to issue number 14 or whatever, that's fine. You just say that in the description, that it's like this issue is related to these other issues, and then somebody can kind of click through and find all that stuff. Some of the issues in this are, as they're like a little bit on the broad side, right? Because that's just kind of the nature of what we're working with. So one of the goals will be to take some of these and like break them into smaller pieces, but it's also because it's a hardware project, and that's just sort of how this kind of thing goes.
We can change these issues or make new ones and then backlink them to an old one.
Exactly.
We're not married to these issues exactly if they're not quite the scope that we want.
Yeah, and you can add one in, and then you can put tags on it of like good first issue or won't fix, things like that. So it's the issues is basically a way for you to keep track of ideas for stuff you plan to do, and the wiki is a way to keep track of like ideas and documentation a little more generally. So stuff that doesn't need to go in the README, but that you would like somebody who accesses this to have the information about, that can all go in the wiki.
So that could be almost more blog post or forum like, right? Like the wiki, like here's a big idea or even a small idea that we want to elaborate on, the direction we're going in, or questions.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that would be good. I mean, this could totally displace the forum. I always would prefer less platforms than more. You know what I mean? We could just have this be the place where people who want to come and talk about this or explore the issues. We could use this. This seems functionally great, and it's linked to everything else, you know, rather than being a separate thing. So,
Well,
I
the
never
forum
like to
is-
step on toes, but that would be my personal preference.
yeah.
Would be to switch to GitHub.
What do you think,
the forum
David?
does have a lot of good stuff in it right now, so I wouldn't mind, straddling both. But yeah, like eventually, if we decide to move over, we can just move over. I don't have a strong opinion. Do you guys mind if I talk about badges a little bit, and then also, there's something else I want to talk about. So you see the badges here, but if you go to OpenAir Epiphyte, you don't see the badges. That's because it's a work in progress, and then if you change branches, you will be able to see the badges. I'm not done, so please don't merge in my pull request. That's all I want to say.
Oh, so we should talk a little bit about how pull requests work, probably. So
I don't know.
Not at length, but just a little. So the way that GitHub works is you have a main branch, and then you branch things off of it. So you might have a branch for, like, Ling has been doing a great job of having branches each time that she fixes a specific issue with something, especially in the documentation, of like, you create a new branch, you change that thing on that branch, and then you submit a pull request, and whatever that change is gets merged back into the main branch. So you can use multiple branches at the same time. There's lots of things that you can do with them, and it's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's a very powerful and established tool to do that. So just so that's on your radar, that like branches exist, and pull requests are how you merge branches together and you get changes from one thing in. So like if you have a project and there's a change you want to make that's like, okay, let me make a small change to this document and I want to change 2 words, you can do that on the main branch, and then it's called committing and pushing. So actually we should probably show like the commit history for this. So if you see where it says under code, you click 25 commits. Yeah, these are all of the different changes that have been made to this repository over time. And there's little summaries of everything that was done. Many of these are very small things. So yeah, so like there was a pull request where Ling reorganized the files and put README files in. And that was a more multi-step process. So it made sense to create a new branch, work on that in the new branch so that it could be in an incomplete state without affecting the main files. And then once that task was completely done, you merge the changed version in.
So you could do a thing like, for instance, we have as an issue right now that we're going to go with this new sorbent. We have to do a bunch of other tests right now with the original system, but at a time in the not too distant future, we're going to add that and test it. And we're like, okay, this is the one we're using. Then you can just move it back into the main.
Yeah, absolutely. You could create like a secondary test branch, and you could be like, here's the documentation specific to all of these things, and then you're making commits on that branch, and then when you're done, you merge it back in.
Okay.
I think we need to be careful about using these issues and executing the solutions in this repo, because I think we need to make a version, or we need to version it or something, because this repo is supposed to be frozen. So I think we need to make sure that we get the Zenodo up for version 1.0 before we start executing the issues on here. I think once the Zenodo is up, we can do anything. But before that, we don't want to be making changes for like toward version 2.0 on this.
I agree. So if you click on the milestones thing there, you can see that, let's see, there's labels, milestones, no issue. Up. Yeah, that's good. Go, sure. I'm thinking we will call it 1.0 for the version that we've gotten so far. Yeah, so this is all that needs to be added just to get this up to Zenodo, is the various
Yeah.
documentation things. So
We want to focus on these.
Yeah.
So other discussions, like in the meantime, we don't want to crowd this repo with that. But I think there's a way to version. Let me look at branches. I think there's a way to separate. Like I was
make issues on specific branches. That's an interesting idea.
Issues. Sorry, I'm still. I know that Maya is linked to an issue, right? Like, oh shoot, I don't know. But when I'm done with this, I would just say like closes issue. Docs, add badges, and then it'll close the issue. Anyway, I have some other stuff that like I urgently want to ask. Like tangentially related to this. Is it okay if we pivot there because
Sure.
I need some answers.
Let me pause 1 second though and just give the biggest of shout outs to both Ling and Christina for getting this into this order here. Really like pretty transformational. So thank you to both of you guys for putting in the work on this. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks everybody for putting the documentation in. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Go ahead, Ling.
Yeah, so my question is for David. I cannot find the folder that you shared for Epiphyte anymore, but I could see some of my own folders that I made for that, like CAD files and stuff. So when you do make the circuit hookup diagram thing, it'll be good to inform me where you put that, because so David may or may not want to learn GitHub because he may only put in this bit of work and then that's it. So I volunteered to help him with navigating or putting files on GitHub, which is totally fine with me. And I'm happy to help anyone who does need help. Just message me. So yeah, so David, let me know when you put the file somewhere or
Okay.
yeah, something happens.
Yeah, I'm not going to learn any new apps or anything for this. I'm actually just putting the circuit diagrams such as they are in a Word file with PowerPoint diagrams, because none of it was ever captured with any kind of CAD. It was just hand built. So that's as far as I can take it. If somebody wants to transform it into some other format, that would be great. But,
yeah, that is up to literally anyone because this is a pretty open project.
Yeah, that's actually Alex has talked a little bit about maybe doing something with that, and I think that would be a great example of how the issue thing might be useful. Because once we get that in, we have Epiphyte 1.0 with those things documented, then I can create an issue that's like, hey, someone should make this into a printed circuit board, and then if anybody in the community is interested, then they can comment on that issue. But yeah, total ditto on what Ling said. If there's anything that you want to add into the main repository and you don't want to deal with GitHub, please feel free to ping me on Discord. I'm happy to put files in and get stuff organized because I've been using GitHub for like a solid decade at this point and I'm still learning. So like don't let the learning curve on it get in your way. Feel free to just send us stuff. We don't mind.
Okay. Guys, I just also posted, David, I sent it to you directly, and then I put it in our little DM, which I don't want to put on the general channel app, but that's the Google folder that we did put together for Epiphyte that has like the bill of materials on, on a Google sheet. So that would be just a good place to put everything, David, if you want to create your own David's folder in there or whatever you want to do. But we could just use that one as our standard place to put stuff before we put it up to GitHub.
I can put it on GitHub myself, but what I can't do is there's talk about writing everything in some kind of LaTeX format or something, and I'm not going to learn a new editor or anything.
Yeah,
we're not doing the LaTeX thing anymore.
or at least
But,
not right now. That was when we were looking at documenting it as a paper.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
we're not
I
doing
think
that
that
anymore.
I do still want to do that a little bit further down the line.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
But
you
I'm not going
want,
to make anybody else write LaTeX. Do not worry.
Thanks.
it'd be good if we can go with the pull requests. So one thing about pull requests is that it's not necessarily like a required thing. You can push to main, but what pull requests do is that the ones that are closed, you can see which commits they're associated with, and there's usually a blurb that tells you what this pull request is for. This is a one-liner, but for work, I write like very thorough descriptions for pull requests. So then we know which day this got merged in. You know, like how the versioning looks like. So preferably we use pull requests so we can organize the changes into like some kind of chronological organizational system.
Okay, awesome. That's great.
Yeah, so I can help with that. Christina can help with that. Either of us.
Okay, great. Did you have any other burning tangents, Ling, that you wanted to go over?
No, but just a reminder that the issues with the comments are here, so you can go and read them and put your comments. Because we're all pretty async, and we may not be able to understand all of this in one go and come up with questions immediately. So please read it, and then you can DM me questions also. No need to write it publicly if you feel like it's too much exposure.
Yeah. Okay. Can I show you guys one thing that might be cool or it might be dumb? So just with the Epiphyte LLM that I did, I'm just curious. I just, for the hell of it, a moment ago, I put it has the existing code, David, that we have for the sensors that we have to change, and it also has the data sheets for our new sensors. So I just asked it, like, how would you change the Epiphyte code so that it works with the Sensorion monitors? And I don't know if any of this is useful. I can copy and post it. I know that was already an easy thing, but it seems to give specific instructions on how to do that. So I don't know. Just wanted to show that off.
Okay.
Might be helpful.
Be
Yeah,
careful.
you can even ask for the whole code, and it
What's that?
works. You can even
LLMs
ask for the whole code.
Sorry. Say that one more time. There was two people talking.
I said you can also ask for the whole code, and then it gives that to you.
Yes, keep in mind that LLMs are very good at completely making up Python. They will come up with a Pythonic solution that is sort of maybe what it imagines the code ought to be. And it's usually not totally unfair that that's maybe what the code ought to be, but that code may not exist in any way.
Gotcha.
So just keep that in mind.
Hey, Chris, did you say that you invited us to that? Because I never got anything.
Did anybody get an email from Pulze, Pulze?
Yeah, I did.
Jochen got it. Seth got it. It might have gone
I
into your.
got it.
Yeah,
I got
I
it.
was
I haven't done anything with it.
Okay. It might be in your spam, Ling, but I can resend it right
Let me
now.
see.
Okay. But yeah, it might not be good for certain things, as Christina just pointed out, but it might be just better to kind of, again, needle in the haystack.
I got it.
Okay, great. Cool. Let me know when you're in, and I can walk you guys through how you actually get in it and use it. But,
Okay. Yeah, I always have to double check any code that I put through. I asked an AI for. I only ask them to do small jobs because I don't trust them.
yeah.
I usually have to rewrite a lot of code or ask several times until I'm happy with the result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. David, did you have, or Lynn, was there anything else on your side?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So David, as I said at the beginning, we're trying to get just that connection with the new person in Philadelphia. In the meantime, what I did do is I looked at our list as well of people who are in Philadelphia that based on signing up to our Discord, and so put in they're interested in maker stuff and direct air capture. And so there are a couple people that triangulate there actually. So I want to kind of reach out to those people and see what they're all about, if they're engineers or stuff like that, to be able to potentially be helpful. But I think in the meantime, I will again try Peter again in a couple of days and see what we can do. But I know your time is absolutely limited, and I do not expect you to jump back into the lab in any extensive type of way. But if when that connection is made, or if there are other people at UPenn still being able to do that, sort of you showing them in person, like what it is, what the problems are you still game for that role?
Yeah, in fact, that would probably be very useful because there's no way I can really document it in a way that would answer every question somebody might come up with, but I could quickly show them, in a couple of hours how the thing is set up, point to everything, show, go through a run, show them what it does, et cetera, et cetera. And I offered it to the guy that was in there before. I already forgot his name.
Sendelia.
Yeah, right. He never got back to me like 2 different times. I said, hey, I'm around. I can come in. Let me know if you're available. But he never answered.
He delivered the goods to the lab, and that was we're thankful for that. But we need this new person. Clearly, he ran out of time and sort of went his separate way. But we'll that's just trying to get another human who could be the owner of this. And as again, Peter has specifically named a person for that. So I just want to make that connection as soon as possible. I wish I could fly to Philadelphia and show awkwardly up at their office, but that's not in the cards. So, but yeah, so I'm going to keep working on that and see again if we turn up some other Philadelphia people at UPenn who have an interest in hacking on CDR. That might help us. Do you know if your card, David, is something that has expired already?
Oh yeah, my card expired in January, so somebody
Okay.
put me in.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so we'll get that. Whether it's Peter meeting you and just letting you in, or whatever is required, I'll.
Or Mary Lynn.
Yeah.
Mary Lynn is always there. Peter's there like 1 week a month.
Okay. Yeah, he lives in Cleveland. You should meet him, Christina. He's right there in Cleveland, but he's part of the UPenn. He's our main.
I was gonna say, what? There's another person in Cleveland?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, Christina, you guys joined UNLing. This is a thing that I'm sending out to our list of people who have indicated an interest in Epiphyte. That just sort of lets them know where the project is if they want to be a part of it. It's the calendar of our streams. But one of the things I was thinking of adding, because there's a lot of people at universities on that list, is just this little printout that they could put, on a message board or something at a lab, that just basically this links to the digital deck, and it just very basic information.
Yeah.
But I thought it'd be cool, if you wanted to do that at your university, or I'll try to get certainly try to get Peter to put one up. But I'm probably going to put the PDF to this in that mail out that I was just showing, and say, if you're at a school and you want to recruit for this, then post this, as like an action item or something. So
Yeah, let me know. And if anybody in Cleveland wants to meet up, put them in touch with me. I'll give them a tour of the makerspace.
all right, that'd be great. Fantastic.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
I got into the polls thing, and I don't see anything. So I don't know if the invite expired. Can you?
Let me.
check one more time? When did
yeah.
it go on? Let me see.
Let me see.
Oh, it was 2 days ago. I don't know. I accepted an invitation, but I don't see. I see like an empty workspace, and it's not OpenAir.
Okay. I think what I can do is invite you to the specific project, and that should let you in. So I'll figure that out post call, but would be good to have you at least taking a look at it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone else has seen stuff.
All right. Well, let me know if anybody runs into a similar issue, and there's probably something where I just have to invite you specifically into that space. But you should be signed up to be an eligible participant in the OpenAir account. So, all right, cool. Well, good call, guys. Again, thanks so much to Ling and Christina for just the awesome work you did on the GitHub. It's extremely helpful and essential. So. But on other stuff, we'll pick it up next week and on the Discord, unless anybody has any final comments to make before we jump off.
Just thanks everybody, and really looking forward to getting the new diagrams in and getting this thing on Zenodo. I'm psyched. I love digital object identifiers. Woo!
So don't we all? That's great. Yes. I love that. I love that you love it. That's what I'll say to that. All right, cool guys. Catch you later.
Thanks, friends. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.